What's going on, guys? This video is going to be about vulnerability, and I believe this is very powerful and it's very important in our lives, and it's something that I have started to learn over this last probably 6 to 9 months, and the fact that, look, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. You know, we have a light side, we have a dark side, and me experiencing my higher self consciously and realizing my power, I think, created this expectation on my human self physical vessel to live up to the expectation of the highest aspect that I've experienced. And I think this happens to a lot of us. We know what our potential is, but we judge ourselves if we're not physically there yet. And this can be very harming to your own mental health. I think it's important we identify and realize that there are different aspects of us. We have our shadow self, we have our ego, our identity, we have different attachments to people, places, and things from our past, and we have dreams and goals for the future, right? We have different things that are going on in our energetic field. We have things in our environment that are contradicting with what we want. We have things in our mind that don't necessarily interact with what we actually want and prefer in our life. But in all reality, guys, we got to be vulnerable with ourselves and realize that we're not perfect. You're not perfect. You know, we're going to go through things in our life. And I think what happens is, this is what I realized what was happening with me. I had things in my past that were so suppressed that I was avoiding them and I was resisting them. I was not wanting to face them because I was thinking, oh, I'm better than this. Well, I should be here compared to this person and that person, or to what I should have done or what I should have said, or what I thought I would have been by now. We're putting all this comparison and expectation on our shoulders. And it's not really beneficial to our mental health. But when we realize that we have a light side, we have a dark side, we have a higher self, we have a shadow self, we have an identity, we have different identities, we have different alter egos, maybe, or maybe you don't, I don't know. But there's different aspects and versions of ourselves. And I know one thing that I've struggled with personally is comparing myself to other people and expecting myself to be perfect and actually judging myself if I didn't live up to my own high, unrealistic expectations. Now, don't get me wrong. It can be very powerful to actually have expectations or goals and dreams, and more so intentions. We should use the word rather than expectation. I've realized that having too strict expectations can create a lot of resistance, which can create doubt, and it can create just fear. You know what I'm saying? What's the difference between an expectation and intention, first of all? Well, an expectation, it kind of feels like, to me, this is my perception of it, like an expectation is like, I need this to happen. I need this to happen. And it's like you have an expectation of someone in your life or something. You're like, I need this relationship to turn out like this. Otherwise, I won't be happy or I won't be worthy. And we create all these rules and labels and meanings on our head on what things mean. We're like, well, if I don't hit this rank in this company, or if this income, or if I don't get this job, or if I don't get this many views or this many subscribers or this many likes, then that means I'm not worthy. And we're creating these meaning. We're putting the meaning on different events in our life, which creates a lot of resistance. You see what I'm saying? But if you loosen up a little bit, be a little bit more playful, and this is what I've been working through and realizing more, it's more fun to be playful in our life than to have such high expectations and take things so seriously. And like I said, this has come from someone that I've taken things, I still do it. Like, I still do it. I can't say I don't do it. Like, sometimes I still take things too seriously. And that's part of my shadow where I'm like super control freak, taking things so seriously. It's got to be this way or else. You know what I mean? It's just so much resistance, man. When you just loosen up a little bit, what happens is, guys, when we're control freaks, we're like strangling the universe by the throat, saying, it needs to work like this, motherfucker. It has to work like this. But when you loosen up a little bit, instead of having expectations, set intentions instead. And say, you know, I intend for this to happen, right? And intentions, like, your intentions are always going to be met in the perfect now moment. You see what I'm saying? So, like, let's say, for example, you have the intention to meet someone or to attract someone into your life. Well, that may happen tomorrow, next week, or next month. You don't know. It's going to come right into your life at the perfect moment. And what happens is, when you set an intention versus an expectation, you give the universe wiggle room to actually create and lay that out. And this is the analogy I like to use. Like, you are a blank canvas, and your thoughts putting paint on the canvas and you were cluttering up the space, right? And if you really want to be in your highest potential, your highest power, you're gonna flip the page on that canvas. You're gonna clear it up. You're gonna erase it or whatever. It's gonna be a blank slate, because then when you're a blank slate, you become nothing, which allows you to become anything you were doing in that moment, which allows the universe to create and manifest through you. You see what I'm saying? And your thoughts are like the labels and the meanings that you're putting on things, and it can clutter up. Now, there's nothing wrong with thoughts. Don't get me wrong with this. Now, I had this download the other day where I don't know where it fucking came from, but it just popped right into my head. I'd never heard it before, but it just came right in my head, and it said, first you direct your thoughts, and then your thoughts direct you. So this can be very powerful when you have an intention to get some type of work done or do some type of task. You do some type of meditation, or maybe you go for a walk or go for a run. Whatever you were overthinking about, creating resistance in your own mind, clear up that space real quick. You see what I'm saying? I think this is what a lot of us are doing right now. This is what I'm getting, is that we feel like we have a lot of things to do, and this is happening to me as well. We feel like we have a lot of things to do, so then what happens is, instead of having a clear space and focusing on the task at hand, we have different paint cluttering up our environment, therefore we can't really focus. You see what I'm saying? But if you go for a walk, clear your mind, now you can allow to receive, because there's a difference between thinking a thought and receiving a thought. You know, and you really want to be in that space where you're receiving thoughts. It becomes very powerful, because it takes the pressure off your little physical mind, your little ego that thinks it knows everything and that it knows the best way and the best. Man, the most powerful experiences I've had in my life are things that just happened in the moment that I did not expect. You know, but when we set expectations, when our expectations are so strong of it has to work out like this, but what happens is we're walking through life with a frame. We're putting the universe in a box, and we're viewing the universe in our lifetime. We're viewing our life through that box. And what happens is anything outside the box, we're not even gonna perceive. You see what I'm saying? But if you have no box, like if you become nothing, like literally become nothing, don't even get to the point where you forget you're in a body, where you forget you have a name, where you forget what city you're in, where you're just pure presence, experiencing whatever you are doing, you are becoming that thing. So if I'm going on a walk, I'm no longer Jordan, I'm the walk. I'm the fresh air, I'm the sun. You see what I'm saying? If I'm watching a movie, you guys, when you watch a movie, are you consciously thinking about I'm a human being watching a movie? No, you're just immersed into the movie. That's the present moment. That's why people love video games. That's why they love movies. That's why they love sports. Because they finally get out of their own goddamn head. They finally get out of their head and they become pure presence, which is who you truly are. And now that becomes a freeing space, because when you're free of thought, now you're presence. And when you're presence, you have no limitations. Okay, the only limitations are the ones you come up with in your own mind, right? Mostly programs from your past, mostly programs from authority in your first 7 years of life. I've done a lot of shadow work, and I realized that a lot of my limiting beliefs that were deep-rooted, unconscious thought patterns, they came from when I was 4 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, things I heard from my parents, from my teachers, and from my Sunday school teachers in church. Because when you're a child, you automatically accept what authority says. You have no conscious mind. You have no intellect to accept or reject an idea. So what does that mean? That means it goes straight into your subconscious mind, automatically accepted, therefore becomes a belief, one of your default belief systems, okay? Man, it's powerful. So loosen up a little bit on the expectations is what I'm saying. Loosen up for it. Because when you have so many expectations, you're actually limiting what the universe can do for you. You're actually limiting what the universe can do for you when you set so many strong expectations. It creates a lot of resistance. It really does. Yeah. And there's really three different ways we can define what we want in our life. And one of them being specific, which one of them being general, and one of them being just defining a feeling of how you want to feel. I found in my own life that setting a very specific goal or intention is good. If you know exactly what you want, it's good to set something specific, right? If you know exactly what you want. But what I've noticed through the people that I've worked with is that most people that have been coming to me recently they haven't experienced enough to know what they truly want. And if you're young, maybe you're 16, 18, 20, 22, I'm a youngin' too, I'm 23, okay? But like, if you're young, you probably haven't experienced much yet. Or maybe you're older and you want to experience more, whatever the case may be. If you don't know what you want, it's probably because you haven't experienced enough contrast in your life. You've been experiencing the same thing over and over and over again. So back when I was in Back when I was in small town Illinois, some of you heard the story. I lived in the cornfields, okay? I didn't see much outside the cornfields for my first 20 years of life. So therefore, I didn't know what I wanted. And I knew I didn't know what I wanted. I said, you know what? I just want to travel because I feel like if I travel, I'll get to experience more and then I'll be able to find out what do I actually want. And that's exactly what I did. I attracted the opportunity into my life to actually make that a reality. I set the intention. I prayed to God. I said, send the right people in my life. Because at that point in time when I was in college, I was really in this place where I felt like I wasn't around the right people. I felt like no one understood me, and I felt like I couldn't be myself around the people that I was with. So I was like, you know what? I need to spend some time alone and separate myself from that environment, and I need to figure out who are the right people for me. Who are the right people for me? Not who I was, but who I'm becoming, right? And I'm kind of in that similar situation right now as well. But what happened to me back then at that time was I was given that opportunity. You see what I'm saying? I set the prayer, I set the intention, and then I was given the opportunity. I got introduced to network marketing for the first time. I got introduced to entrepreneurship and online business, something I'd never done before. But it gave me the opportunity to meet people that I've never met, do things I've never done, and travel places I've never been. That's what gave me the opportunity to do. And what happens is, guys, when you experience more than you've ever experienced, it creates this desire to experience more. And what happens is the more things you experience, the more clear you can get on what you actually want, because experiences create contrast, which is experiencing, I don't like this and I do like this. Like life is like a buffet, okay? When something happens to you that you think is bad, it's not actually bad. It's just something that had to happen for you to clarify, okay, I don't like this. I don't want this. Okay, now what do I want? Let me go try something new. So I think it's important we always try new things in our life to really, broaden our perspective, right? Okay. And that's exactly what I did. And I started to travel around. I went to 8 different countries and 37 different states in about a year and a half. And it really expanded my perception of reality. I started to go to these different cities, places I've never been to, and seeing these cultures, seeing homeless people on the streets, seeing people in mansions. I'm seeing it all. And what I'm seeing is everyone has different ways of doing things, but deep down in the soul, we're all connected. We're all connected in the heart. And no matter if I don't understand your culture, man, my alarms keep interrupting these videos, man. That's hilarious. They don't want me to eat, but I'm going to eat. Okay, now, you may not intellectually understand these different cultures, but when you take off the filter, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Your mind, you don't see things as they are. You see things as you are. You see things in the filter of what you've already experienced. Because here's the thing. When you experience something in your life, that is a dot, you could say. And the experiences that you have in your head are already different dots, okay? You have different dots in your head, which come from different experiences, different emotions, and different beliefs. These are already in your head, okay? So whatever you experience is a new dot. It connects to this dot. So what you're experiencing, you're not actually experiencing as it is. You're experiencing how you perceive it through the filter of your own mind. But when you get out of your head, this is where it's powerful, guys. When you get out of your head and get into your heart, you no longer have a filter. You just unconditionally love everything. You accept everyone and everything because you realize that you don't know what you don't know, and they have a different way of doing things, and that's totally fine. That's a new perspective that you can now learn, because in the eyes of Source, in the eyes of God, all perspectives are true, all perspectives are valid, and you should love one another like yourself. Because just because someone does something different than you does not mean they're wrong. Does not mean you have to not like them. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was a lot of my programming as a kid as well. Like all this separation of if you have a different religion than me, then we shouldn't talk to you. Or maybe we're maybe a different race, or a different, go to a different school, like a different sports team. All these illusions that have been created in the systems to create separation between human beings. Oh, what team do you like? Oh, well, what? Like, I was a Cardinals fan growing up as a kid, and I was not supposed to like the Cubs fans. How silly is that? You know what I'm saying? And here's another layer to this. I'm gonna add another layer to this right now as well. Well, here's the thing. Most of our beliefs come from our parents, okay? So it's not about judging our parents, because our parents give us what they knew, what they grew up with as well. And they're giving you the best from what they know. You know, your parents, no matter how, I mean, my parents are amazing. They took care of me, taught me many things. I've learned so many things from them. I appreciate them and I love them. Okay? Different people have different experiences in their childhood about with their parents. Maybe they had one parent. Maybe they experienced a divorce. Maybe they experienced step parents, which is still a parent. Maybe they had no parent at all. Maybe they raised themselves. Maybe they had an older brother raise them. Maybe they had a grandparent raise them, okay? I don't know. We all have different experiences. But what we know is whoever raised you is raising you with an accumulation of what they've learned in their lifetime, and knowing that, you know, up into these last couple of decades, the majority of people's beliefs are unconscious. So it's really just being brainwashed into them from their parents and their grandparents. And it's ancestral beliefs that are getting passed down, that now, you know, this is obviously the generation that we're really working through these ancestral wounds and beliefs and patterns, you know? And for me, main two ones is comparing myself to others, feeling unworthy if I didn't live up to that expectation, and then thinking I have to be perfect, so I procrastinate. You know, started off as a kid. I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, where you had a paper due. You guys ever had a paper due on like Monday? You had 3 weeks to do it, and you didn't even start till Saturday night. That was me every time. So if you give yourself a shorter deadline, you're going to focus more, pretty much. So, dude, guys, that's my message today, man. Vulnerability. Get to know yourself. That's my message for today. Get to know yourself. Know thyself. Know your past, know your present, know your future. Know the different versions of you. Know your shadow. Know your higher self. And know that you are whole and complete regardless of your circumstance, regardless of your situation. And realize that we are all perspectives of God. We are all the same. We were all at different levels in our evolution, and you don't need to compare yourself to anyone. It's not a race, and I love you. Peace.